Hello, David Paul here. I just thought I'd start this video by looking out into the valley so you could see just how sunny and hot it is here. Today the temperature is 36 degrees. I did work yesterday and wow, I woke up exhausted. I'm starting to pull myself round now, but it's the afternoon, you know. I'm getting so little work done here. The temperature today is 36 degrees. And I got to go out there and mix cement and carry it up this ladder and put it on this wall, and it's killing me. So anyway, I thought I'd give you a lowdown on how things are going at the minute. This wall has started to wander out a little bit. This is the true line, and you just need to be following that. So you need to be like underneath that beam there. And one of the problems is that the beam has to sit tightly on top of the concrete. I keep calling it cement, I mean concrete. So what I got to do to ensure that I do that is to pack the material in underneath. So what I've done is I put the boarding down at an angle, and the plan is to put a short piece of boarding here and basically backfill this in with concrete and work my way forward, and then as I'm working forward ensure that I'm backfilling up against this ceiling part here, and that the load of the floor is being directed down into this concrete wall. This concrete wall, if you bang it, it's so stiff. It's immensely strong. It's really, really strong. It's like having a floor beam that's like 8 feet deep, you know. That's some really stiff piece of kit. So the idea is that this will take the load. Now, I'm going to a sawmill today in Espinal to check out the wood situation there, about possibly buying eucalyptus wood or buying, if absolutely necessary, though I don't want to do that, pine wood and flooring in between here. So what I was going to do is I was going to go from the door to the center in one sweep, and then from the center over there in one sweep. And I came up with a brilliant idea to kind of make it easier. I'm negotiating at the moment with various people to buy eucalyptus wood, which goes out on trucks to be made into paper. And they all get cut to a standard length. Well, the standard length is about 2 meters. So those standard lengths would fit in short runs between the two concrete beams, each a beam and another beam, and that beam and that wall. So the longest length I've got is 2 meters and 14 centimeters. So easy peasy, we'll get that done. And all I got to do is find myself a seller who's going to sell me something. As I say, I've got a few people on the job, but I realised that the problem that I'm creating for myself is by asking for longer logs. The longer logs don't last 5 minutes, because the minute a tree is cut down, it's then chopped down in length, and then you're screwed, you know. So that means you now got to do it in short lengths, and because you don't want butt ends to meet in the middle, they're going to have to all butt up against each other over the top of a beam. Well, why is that a problem? What could possibly go wrong? Well, it's this. You put a lot of weight on these. The strongest parts are here against that wall where I put rebar in. This one, which is a wide ledge over there, and this central beam, which is being supported by a structural wall in the center. So you're now going to go and put short lengths on, which are now going to put a significant load on these rather spindly cross beams. which also were never really meant to be used for this purpose. So consequently, they're bearing the weight of, say, all of the wood from halfway there to halfway there, all being put on that beam. And they were never designed for that, and I'm sure they can take it, but they weren't designed for it. So you push and you look. So how do you get around that? Well, a combination of a few things. My friend Keith made a remark. He said, "Oh, I don't know if those beams are strong enough." Okay, well, I think about it all, Keith, and I just that nagging doubt goes into my head. Maybe Keith is right, and that just fails itself. And another one where on the Isle of Skye, these architects, young fellas just standing there nonchalantly with his hands in his pockets, and they had done a real modern makeover of some old ruin in Skye. And he made the remark, he said, "Oh, well, the structural strength of this ancient structure is not capable of taking all what we wanted to do to it, so it's not load bearing." And I felt that in the back of my head, and I thought, oh, so you must have created some sort of additional structure to make the damn job that you're going to do stronger, and that you don't like crush down this, this ancient wall and stuff, because you can't take it. Now, my house actually can take it. My house is very well built. But I still don't want to push my luck on that. So what I have done is by putting these reinforced pieces in where I think there's more strength needed, that's helped. So that begs the question. Oh yes, and a remark by my architect daughter-in-law, who, when I told her my idea about spanning the room with simple beams, so every floorboard is a beam, and then you have this beautiful run of wood across the ceiling with no cross supporting joists. And she made the remark, "Yeah, well, that's all very well, but I don't know if the structure can take it." Oh, so basically what she's saying is exactly what the previous bloke had said on this TV program about the ancient structure not being able to take it. So what's the answer? Well, get off the house, reinforce, and get something else to take the load. So how are we going to do that? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fit underneath each of these concrete beams, not the central one because that's got a wall there, but underneath this one and the one over there, I'm going to fit a roundwood log which has been skimmed with a flat surface on one side, just a few inches wide, to match up to the bottom of that. I'm going to jack it up using devices called acros. They're kind of jacks, but they're large stick things, usually used for holding ceilings up and things like that. So I'm going to jack them up with them. And then where the joist meets the wall, it will stop. It won't go into the wall, so the wall's not being asked to contribute any more towards, supporting load. So now what do? Well, what you do is you take a log and you put a curved sort of shape in the bottom of it, and you get it to support that other log which is going up there, and it's transmitting its load down into the ground. The ground here is solid rock, so you don't need to dig a hole for foundations or nothing like that, but that log is in there. The supporting joist is there, which is being held up by the acros initially. Then you bang the log in, fit it, and then you put the other one in there on that side. Then you go to the other side of the house and you do the two up here. Okay, so you're going to have a log coming down there. Well, you're going to have a couple of logs in your rooms, but you know, logs are cool. And you're also going to eliminate an awful lot of these cross joists that you would have otherwise had, and that you'd have to seek, and they'd have to fit everyone and all that. So that's going to simplify that beyond belief. Job done. So that's the solution for this. And meanwhile, I've just got to, like, you know, keep your powder dry and trust in the Lord, as I would say, and just wait, be patient, and eventually somebody will turn up with some eucalyptus logs, which will do all of this. The eucalyptus logs will be placed across, making the floor, but will not be machined into place now, nothing. They will be left there to just dry and shrink whilst I'm away teaching. And then when I come back, then I will machine them into place, because they'll have shrunk to the right size and so on. And also, I don't want to strip the bark off them, because I don't want any rot to get in, or, you know, disfiguring sort of mold and stuff like that. So if you don't do any cutting of the wood until you're actually here, then it'll keep the wood nice and beautiful and fresh. And that's it. So that's that. Regarding the roof, I absolutely got to get a damn floor in here so I can get up on that roof. I am not climbing around with this height difference. If I fall off a ladder and land on the floor here, I fall in a height of about 8 feet. 8 feet. If I fall this distance, I'm falling like 16 feet. A lot worse. I could kill myself on this one. Unlikely to do anything other than hurt myself falling 8 feet. And I may even wear a harness on top of that. But the roof should be straightforward once I can get up there and lay these new tiles. These tiles over here. And they will do for now. But I have puzzled and puzzled and puzzled and puzzled and puzzled as to how I might reinforce this roof to ensure that it's strong enough. Do I dismantle the roof completely and just completely do the woodwork? And my answer is no. So what I'm planning to do is, it's these cross structures here, I think they're called trusses, over here. They are perfectly strong enough, but let's make absolutely sure. So how am I going to get round that? Well, what happens is, if I step back and just get a better camera shot on this. Right, on that thing there, the top pieces of wood here and the central piece, they are all compressively loaded. So compressive force is being pushed on them, which they're quite capable of taking. And the bottom one is under tension. All right, okay. So what we could do is we could overlay the top of the top joists with an additional log. So you put a log up there and a log up there, which sits on top of this existing structure, and you join them at the center. Okay, you could even screw them into the other logs as well if you wish, and that'll look okay. It'll look just fine. But you need to additionally put extra tensile strength into the bottom thing as well. But of course you can't fit that in, because at the corners they can't pass through each other, and you don't want to recut that and this and that and the other. So they can't pass through. Can they not pass through? Or maybe they can. Maybe there's a way. And the penny dropped this morning. What I need to do is I need to get a length of steel bar which will run across here, but it will sit above that wooden log there, and you will never see it because you're down here, and when you look up you won't see it because it's just above there, but it's taking the tensile load of the roof. Now once you put that in, you're now completely unlimited as to what you care to do with the size and everything of those big logs. You can put some really big dramatic logs in on the top, and it doesn't matter because the tension that will result in, the steel is more than capable of handling. Okay, what's the consequence of that? Well, the consequence of that is that the roof will now be taller than it was. So the roof is slightly taller. But that's good, because when you come to put the reinforcing concrete ring beam around the house, you're going to cause the roof to be taller. So you put your log in there, and you also raise the roof at the ends, and then the whole damn thing just goes up by, say, 6 inches. And then we'll have all the way to the bank, and then we've preserved all this original structure and the beauty of it and everything, and the history and so on. And without having to worry about, is it strong enough? And there's no tensile forces, or rather there's no thrust forces on the wall. You must not put thrust forces on a stone structure, otherwise you push them down, you push the walls down. I've seen people doing it, you know, and they get away with it because the pitch of the roof is very shallow, and they get away with it. But it's not something I would do. I would always seek to avoid that, even on tiny structures like over that away. There are some sort of barn-like agricultural structures which are doing just exactly that, but they're only small. They're only a few feet long. So that's it, folks. I am just yearning to get this damn thing finished, and then I can start putting wood on it, and it can start accepting compressive load, because I can't even get started on putting anything up here that I can walk on until I get the strength built in here. Because once I get a small section of roof in here, I could probably put it here. I can then put my bed here, and then I've got an upstairs living sort of area. Rather rough and ready, but at least it gets me out of here, and I don't have to live in this scruffy lower level where all the animals used to live. That's it. The plan, I was going to put windows in. Not enough money coming in fast enough to risk doing that. I don't want to get into debt, so I'm going to fit a door there, which will be made out of these old doors here. There's a really knackered up old door there, which I can probably either fit in the centre of that, or construct new shutters or whatever. And the plan is to remove the window frames and simply rely on the shutters, and I'm going to paint everything blue so everything matches. So when you look at the house from outside, it looks a bit more respectable, because I think it's nice to, if you start to, when you do renovations, if you start to make the neighbourhood look better, you're actually helping yourself, because what you're doing is you're creating the impression in the neighbourhood that it's moving uphill and there's life coming about, and then it encourages others to take an interest. I've been showing a man around the village who wants to buy a house, and so that's a sort of new event, you know, the fact that people are taking an interest. 2 new houses being built in the village, and this is all just helping to bring this place back to life, which we need to do. I'll be bringing 4 kids and a young woman over here, so that will also help with the population and changing the age demographic, because we need workers, you know. Some people have got to work this place. I'll get more land and we'll be able to work that land. I'm thinking maybe of having chickens, making some money off chickens, but I don't want to be a major chicken farmer, but I mean, you know, if you found you were making millions of chickens, I think you'd feel compelled to do more. But I have ideas, and I didn't realise, I didn't have a name for the thing that I was thinking of, like cabins and tree houses and all that kind of thing. And then the word popped up somewhere on the internet, and I thought, that's it. That's the concept. So basically what I'm trying to construct is called a landscape hotel. So you can Google that. It's basically a lot of rooms and cabins and this and that and the other and various structures where people are living in the landscape with the minimal environmental damage. Except mine will be better. Mine will be better. Because this is Portugal and we have unlimited supplies of wood if you can just get a hold of some. And eventually, anybody listening to this video, please sell me some eucalyptus wood. Let's get a little deal going that could run on for years, you know. I could be handing you lots of money. So that's the end of that. That's where I am at the minute. And I'm going to have to concentrate on what we used to call in London Underground when somebody was sick, light duties, because you just can't do anything heavy in this heat. So there you go. So the first task will be to close that end there, I think. Do a bit of that. And, you know, keep calm and carry on. This weather won't last forever, and then things will just speed up very suddenly. So, Jesus be with you.